Hello everyone and welcome back to another Clash Phase video. We've got a bit of an interesting one here for you today. We've been coming up with some ideas for some contenders to do with Alpha Clash. It's something we've been thinking about for a while. I started the plan through at looking into different contenders, and we've all liked the idea. So we've decided that we've looked into making just one each to begin with, and we'll see how it gets on. And we might even do a little mini series as we go through and work out which ones work, which ones don't work, and yeah, just see how the whole creative process goes out. Small disclaimer as we start this video, just to let everyone watching these videos know that unfortunately these contenders that we have created, we have used AI to make the images for them. The only reason that being is that unfortunately that we are not good enough drawers to be able to make anything that would look even relative to what these are. So they're in no means intended to be the final project of them. It's just as a visual aspect and visual aid there to go with them. Obviously, if say the creators of Alpha Clash were to look into them and go, actually we quite like these, they'll create their own concept art and do their own things with them that we just unfortunately don't have the ability to do. So small little disclaimer there. There's a reason why they're created that way, and it's just for visual purposes, and that is it. I'm here today with the other two that you will know very well. So obviously myself, I am Tank, and then we have here currently, we've got Jamie, if you'd like to say hi.
Hello.
And Matt, or Bloodfran, if you'd like to say hi as well.
Hello.
And we've gone through, like I say, we've made one contender each for the very beginning purposes of this video. We've been backwards and forwards deliberating it a little bit. Everyone's got their own one that they have created themselves, that they've worked quite hard on, and yeah, we'll see how we get on and see what everyone's thoughts are, and hopefully if we get enough views and get enough traffic coming towards it, you never know. Alpha Clash may, very, very small may even look into the idea of potentially using some of these contender ideas or seeing where they go in the future. So, without further ado, if we'd like to look at our first contender, which one is up first?
I think in the lineup we've got Matt's one.
So now, able to look across, you'll be able to see, boom, the beauty that is Matt's contender there, that he is obviously named after himself because he's a vain and shallow human being. But you know,
The massive narcissist. Yeah.
we'll get onto that later. That's a topic for a different day. So Matt, take it away if you would like to go through your contender and explain what you've done and what brought you to this idea, and yeah, just take it away.
Yeah. So yeah, like you said, this is effectively my kind of my persona for anything, even just outside of the Alpha Clash idea. This is like my persona for any fantasy role-playing games and that sort of thing. This is the kind of visual that I have in my mind when I'm creating a character and that sort of thing. But in terms of Alpha Clash specifically, so this guy, lore-wise, slight bit of backstory that we have. So, as you can see, for the 30 health, every time he takes damage, he's going to create a murder token. So a murder being, a group of ravens or crows, whatever you want to call them. And yeah, effectively, the deck would kind of contain, different actions and things to incorporate that, but this contender's kind of designed to do a lot of that himself. So I will say I would have the action bit that you can see there be once per turn, so these aren't by any means perfect currently. We're trying to keep these as balanced as we possibly can. But yeah, so you'd be able to remove these murder tokens and do various different things based on how many you're going to use. Not sure if 5 murder tokens to be boosting this contender's defense is the best idea. Apologies if you can hear my rascal in the background. But yeah, I think, as then the lower health ability, if the portal's open, start the turn, create a murder token, just as a a more accelerated way of gaining those tokens. I think nothing too unbalanced about that part of it, I don't think. 30 health, I think, is reasonable as a starting point.
Contenders tend to get stronger towards the end, don't they? They tend to be more powerful as you go on. I think that's
it. And I think it's kind of in this contender's interest to, inevitably take the damage, and it's just that trade-off of what you can do with that. And so, one attack. So lore-wise, I kind of have it in my head that, this guy could have been an alpha. Not entirely sure, haven't fleshed it out that much really. But at some point he was, serving a progenitor. Could have been entropy, could have been Alpha Aster, it could be one that's not even been released yet in the Alpha Clash lore, And I figure, he served with distinction, with honor, and at some point he was, he refused an order, was exiled into a barren, cold, snowy world, hence the background sort of artwork there. And that's where he kind of came across, he was exiled, powerless, lost, absolutely no way of escape. Kind of befriends a raven. They kind of build a bit of a bond between them because there was just nothing else for him to do. And then before you know it, one raven becomes two, and suddenly there's a murder of these crows. And they're able to do, interesting things together. And, somewhere in between there, once I've fleshed it out a bit more, his goal is effectively to, get to those same heights that he fell from, and to eventually exact his revenge on the progenitor that exiled him, really. So that's why I've currently kind of got that bottom right symbol you may see. Currently he's not an alpha. He's not an alpha hunter. He's kind of a bit of a void there at the moment. I sort of found that really cool about the absence, but I definitely see the potential for other contenders to kind of have that lack of affiliation as well. That's about all there is to mine for now. That ability to gain the murder token, I figure, in terms of artwork, I sort of, had the AI make a murder token kind of artwork similar to, a Nova token, Flare being my favourite contender. Yeah, and so, you'd either have loads of copies of that, or you'd have a little counter to put on top, whichever you found to be most appropriate. And I'm really happy with the artwork that's come out as well. I've tried to kind of make it as comic style as possible. Definitely not as comic style as I'd like. I'd definitely, if we were to ever kind of get these commissioned and that sort of thing, I'd definitely want these to be a lot more, similar Alpha Clash sort of style. Not sure which artist I'd have in mind in terms of similar to their work, to be honest. I'm a big fan of is it Chow Cacao? I'm not entirely sure how you say that, so apologies in advance. But I really like his artwork. So that's the sort of style I'd have in mind, I think. That's about all there is for my contender, I think. I think there's some balancing to do, I think, definitely. Like I said earlier, the action, that needs to be once per turn, for sure. I think 5 tokens per extra defense might be a bit much as well, maybe up that to 10. And maybe have the action to only target clash cards or something. I'm not sure what you guys' thoughts would be on that, but that's where we're at now.
Yeah, I quite like the fact that you've got it so that it's just. I mean, targeting clash cards, you basically have a bigger deliverance that your contender just holds as long as he's taking damage as like a rage-induced attack that he can bring out. That's pretty damn cool. But yeah, potentially just going for clash cards. That's not too bad at all. The murder tokens, like the artwork and the curiosity that you got there, seems really interesting for that one. Portal open, especially with him being an alpha, that makes perfect sense because a lot of alphas require the portal open for various different things. And I think we are starting to get a few more cards that do have that voided symbol where there's nothing there, because there was the absence, but then I know another one I was looking forward to is the Synthoria cards. They are the same. They are devoid of alpha or harbinger, or they're devoid of a typing. They're exactly the same. So
I didn't know that. That's cool.
It's going to be something we're probably going to see a little bit more often.
I like that. Yeah.
Very interesting. All right, on to the next one. Who's up next?
That'll be you.
Oh, it appears to be me. So the contender that you will now see on screen, this was the start of the whole project. When I first decided I was going to come up and start looking into all these different contenders, he's the one that I've fully fleshed out. I do have a full roster of potential cards and other bits for him, but we'll not add these into this video. This is just the idea on the contenders. We wanted to get them out and have a look. So my contender's called Solomon. He is a drone commander. As you will see, he is a red alpha hunter. 0 attack, 1 defense, and 20 health. Nice and bog standard for the way that they're going to work there. The backstory behind this guy is that the alpha hunters have started to see the complete loss of life every single time that alphas, harbingers, progenitors, any time that the war is brought to Earth, there is a significant loss of life, loss of people, loss of really good alpha hunters, and yeah, it's been an absolute battering. So they have commissioned Solomon. He is a scientist working on behalf of the AHTF. He has developed a next generation set of drones that he's going to start launching into the battlefields to try and deal with all of these incoming threats while neutralizing the loss of life and trying to preserve as many human beings as humanly possible. So the way that I see this guy playing is that it works. It gives the alpha hunters a little bit of a shield wall, a bit like how you have your you've got your war minion tokens where you can just keep churning them out. It's not going to be as churny as the war minion tokens are going to be, but his tokens that he's going to gain are going to be what I call drone tokens. I don't unfortunately have artwork for them at the moment. I know Matt did an absolutely fantastic job of creating the Raven token. Weirdly, that's something I didn't think about doing, so I'll potentially bring some artwork out for that to have a look into that. Again, it is all AI generated, unfortunately, but the only reason for that is because we are not talented enough. Props out there to every single person who is an absolutely amazing artist, especially some of the ones that work for Alpha Clash. We absolutely adore your artwork and we think it's absolutely fantastic. If we could do anything similar to that, we would give it our best shot, but if I was to try to create this guy, he would look more like a drunken stick man, so let's that's about as far as I can get him. So the idea behind the drone tokens is that a lot of alpha hunters will be able to use said drone tokens, but only when you play with Solomon will the drone tokens get flight. So a drone token, just like a war minion token, is a standard 1/1. Obviously when paired with Solomon, it's a 1/1 with flight. Really bunching into that idea of a lot of Moxie Clash cards, heavy power armor, and just the sheer flight power that a lot of the alpha hunters already possess. But it's not going to be too overwhelming if you use it with other alpha hunters, because they won't have flight. Only when they're with Solomon will they get flight. I've put a little bit of draw power in there, so whenever once per turn, whenever a drone is defeated, I included the word drone and not drone token, because some of the cards I have created for him are drone variant cards, but they aren't token clash cards, so just nice bog standard drone. Whenever a drone is defeated, you may draw a card. Nice little cycling draw power for him. And then when he's getting down to 10 health, if you need to start churning out a few more drones, there's a little bit more of a protective line. He has an action. Again, I've noticed that I didn't put on here, I suppose because I've got to engage him, it is already once per turn, but just in case, I would put it out there as once per turn, engage this contender and create a 1/1 drone token.
To be fair, you can only engage him once.
But there are certain effects and abilities that may potentially allow you to ready your contender back up again. So
I mean, if you can somehow pull that off, to ready up your contender, I feel like you should be able to just do that.
I mean, it would be a really interesting idea actually to see if you could get that off, be able to engage in multiple times. Maybe not. We'll see how it goes from there.
I'm slowly becoming a big fan of stuff that really leans into using your contender more, readying them up and giving them flight, and lots of the interesting stuff we're seeing at the moment.
Yeah, being able to have your contender as more of a up close and personal combatant rather than something that just sits there on the sideline, it can be quite interesting, especially when it gets more engaged into the actual clash that you're dealing with. But yeah, so Solomon is, like I say, he's got some cards that he's all fleshed out, and we're working quite hard with him at the moment to try and see if his cards can work. But yeah, I just like the idea that in every comic book sort of universe there is always some form of I mean, the most recent one I can think of is probably actually Dr. Robotnik from Sonic the Hedgehog with the new films where they've brought out, and he's dealing with his drones, and he's always done that, and he's always had his own effects and everything like that. But there's always some form of mad scientist in some form of universe that creates some form of monstrosity, and Solomon's is his drones. His drones are designed to be frontline attackers, and Solomon's cards himself are designed to be very, very defensive and very reserved. So he's got a nice mixture of drone assault and himself being a blocker and being the thing that stops damage coming through. He is the shield wall for the Alpha Hunters, and yeah, I think he's going to work really, really well. But obviously, we'll
I like that it's not just drone tokens either, that there's the potential for a whole deck there. Like, I'm a big fan of when you pick a contender, you kind of have the ability to, for the most part, fill your deck with cards for that contender and that contender alone, sort of thing.
I think the only contender currently in Alpha Clash that does that is Kagel, realistically.
Pretty much, yeah. But obviously there's plenty of cards where you can only use it if it's this contender, but there's not really many cards, like many contenders, where your whole deck, in theory, could be just cards dedicated to that contender. Then I think you're probably right.
You can, but it's just like it's a bit more of a harder task to get it to work.
Yeah, you can get it to a point where it starts to be less effective the more of that same like contender's cards that you add. Whereas, like you say, Kagan kind of requires his cards to be Kagan, which is something we spoke about in the ranking video for all the different contenders, is that Kagan would be higher if it wasn't for his unfortunate, I don't want to call it lack of versatility, it's more the fact of when you play him, he requires his cards to play. You're going to be playing him with the Fire Mace, with the Shield, with the Dragon Scale Armor, with the Dragon Helm, and you need those cards to play with him, or else it just kind of, you could potentially do alright, but it just wouldn't work as well. Alright, on to the last of the three contenders that we've got lined up in this nice little mini showcase. Amy, away to you.
Mine. Well, there we go. As you can see, it's a plague doctor called Dr. Mortis, Herald of the Horde. Like Sam's and Fairmat's, we do seem to have a liking for tokens. He is a minion oriented, not token, should I say. So he's 25 health with 1 defense, 0 attack, which is a unique one because there isn't any 25. I don't think there's any 25 health contenders with a defense. Usually they have the attack, but I thought with me, I've played multiple 25 health contenders. I was like, I do feel like it would be interesting to see what a defense would happen, would do with a contender with 25 health, really. His main ability will be to be able to create 1/0 zombie minions tokens, basically. When plague counters, you'd have plague counters. There is a clash card that I've come up with for him, which would be a Dr. Mortis clash card, which would have a trigger enter. Add 1 plague token or counter to a clash card you don't control, and then when that clash card would be defeated, you create a 1/0 zombie minion, and then the first time it happens each turn you draw a card. that's his main thing at 25 health, which I thought it's an interesting one. It's sort of mixing pestilence with war, to be fair. I don't think it could be. I don't think it's too powerful. It would have to be. I don't know what you guys think, but I feel like it
would like to point out at this point, just so that everyone's aware, is
sorry, no,
that
it's 0-1, not 1-0. I was reading the card.
Yes,
yeah,
we have noticed that the 1-0 it has been changed for the minion cards.
Yes.
It's just that it hadn't been changed for the contender.
I was a plonker and forgot that when
realised
something
that
has 0 defense, it dies.
1-1,
They just die immediately because they've got no health.
Sorry, yeah. So it's
I
a
think
0-1
for
minion.
making it 1-1, really. Like, I think it wouldn't necessarily
this is the thing.
Overshadow war minions or anything. I think you could get away with it.
I'm open for discussions. This is why this video is more about introducing the ideas that we've had for these contenders. They're 100% massively things can change. If we come up with better ideas for them, we can add it. It's only a concept idea. The reason
as
why
we've been discussing these concepts, even just to briefly steal your thunder and go back to mine.
As you do, Narcissus.
The abilities that I had for my guy weren't originally this at all. I'd had another idea and put it into our little group chat, and Tank sort of mentioned that would probably suit Bloodraven more than the other idea I'd had. I think I'd had it like a rage counter sort of system.
Yeah.
Where you take your damage and you gain these counters for it. We've sort of been having these discussions a lot, and we definitely find that things can drastically change as we come up with better ideas.
Yeah, or realise mistakes. I have also, like Matt, I've created AI concept art for a zombie minion. As you can see, as it pops up. And basically, the second ability for Mortis would be when he gets a 15 health. When a card with a plague counter on is defeated, all zombie minions gain +1 attack. So then it'd be 1-1. But me and Sam were talking, or Tank, we're talking about how that +1 could be a +2, and then it'd be a bit more formidable of a thing because you have a swarm of them.
Yeah, I kind of like the ideas that the shuffling zombies walking towards your opponent kind of get activated at a certain point, if that makes sense. So they're just zero attack, 1 defense, shuffling forward, and then suddenly when you get a horde of them towards the end of the game, or towards when your contender's starting to struggle, all of a sudden your zombies get boosted, and they will suddenly start to dish out damage and instantly become a threat in one turn. Where if you've got 6 zombie minions, suddenly that's 12 damage that you've got there straight away.
I suppose that's how it can go with zombies, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're harmless when they're on the road.
Yeah, thinking The Walking Dead and that sort of thing. Like one walker doesn't tend to be an issue for anyone, but once they start forming a bit of a group, and have a bit of meat on them, it becomes a problem.
You've got a horde to behold.
Also, as you can see, this contender is discarded as well as the minion, so it means that potentially, I know we were talking about it's nice to have decks where you just use only that contender's cards, but there is a potential for Lord Krung Warmonger.
Yeah, your Ruthless Warlord.
Ruthless Warlord, not Warmonger, different card.
Yeah.
Where you could bring that in and then it would buff the minions as well.
Yeah, that's where it'd start getting really dangerous.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's in your opponent's interests not to let that situation get out. And much like with a war deck, in a sense, you can ignore those war minions, but before you know it, a certain action card or something's been played, and then you're really in trouble.
I've also had an idea for plague counter generation. Would be like a graveyard relic, and it would be at the start of your turn, if the portal's open, place a plague counter on a Clash card you don't control, and then that would be like how you could get it generating up.
Yeah, there's potential there for loads of stuff. Even thinking now, like you could really lean into like the plague element. Like I'm thinking Black Plague sort of thing, like rats going around and
to be fair,
action like Bad Quarantine or something like that. You know.
You've also got to consider the fact that as much as we like the idea of your contender using their own cards and everything, is that people are creative and people will go through, and that's why I tried to push it with Solomon to make the idea that the drones can be used for other alpha hunters, but they just don't get flight.
They get bonuses if they're with him.
They can still be used. His cards that he's got there with a lot of the drone tokens and everything else can still be used by other alpha hunters. It doesn't negate them just to this deck. It's just that he then has a buff for them being in this particular deck, and vice versa. So there's the zombie minions, and having zombie minion creation, that'd be quite cool, especially with other decks out there, like you say with Krung. Even Thragor would be quite interesting, and Cadavros potentially using a lot of zombie minions and doing a few other bits there. But it's still good to see that there is then the buff that is then being used by using Dr. Mortis and by having him as the contender for having the zombie minions. And I think that's probably the way to do it, is make them work the best in your deck, but still be viable in others.
Other ones, leaving it a bit more.
It means that they've got versatility between them. But there is always a bonus to having them mixed with your contender and having them done that way. But yeah, so there we are. We've got 3 whole contenders all lined up. Obviously, we said that this potentially might be a nice little mini series. So we're gonna. I know that myself, I already have 6 or 7 different contenders that are moderately fleshed out to some degree or another. Obviously, these guys have now gone through and they've started looking into the idea, and so we, depending on how people like this and how they see the creative side of it, we might potentially put a few more other ideas and videos up of this sort of nature. I think because we've played so many RPG games over the years, and being gamers and nerds, well into our 20s now, I think there's just a lot of subject matter in our mind for RPGs, and these different characters will have made for these various sorts of games. And I think what I love about Alpha Clash as well is it's kind of that futuristic side, like it kind of opens up loads of opportunities because there's so many worlds, and because it spans different eras and that sort of thing, with your ancient alphas and awakening and that sort of thing. It definitely opens up lots of ideas for sure. So there's
it's really a
lot of avenues that you could go down to potentially change the game or to move towards a certain idea. Nothing's restricted, I think, is what is good enough to say for there. Is that there is just so much going on that you can sort of slot stuff in where you see fit and think that would work really, really well. And it's nice to see. So I think we'd definitely be curious, depending on how far this goes, to see if maybe even some of the content creators, some of the people that actually use the artwork for the game, might potentially make some concept art based off of the contenders that we've created, and we'll
love to commission something for sure. Yeah, I'd love to commission something.
There's also potential we might do a video down the line where we try and make up a mock deck for these and play them in real life, see how they actually play. We'll see.
And create cards for each one and go through and play an actual game using Alpha Clash rules and see how balanced they are, whether we need things tweaking, whether they fit in nicely with the current play style, and that would be interesting.
Yeah, there's possibilities. So it's all about how you guys find it. If it makes for good content, makes for good watching. But I mean, just let us know what you think. Like we say, it could be a little mini series or something, or it could spiral. Who knows?
We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But no, thank you very, very much for watching. It has been absolutely fantastic, and like I say, we'll see where this sort of avenue of thinking takes us. But no, it's been an absolute pleasure, and we'll see you next time. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Peace.